Andrew Bennett had everything a man could dream of: wealth, power, an empire that stretched across continents. Yet on a rainy night in Austin, Texas, he stood frozen watching a complete stranger feed his daughter for the first time since his wife died. A simple waitress had cracked open a door he had sealed shut for years. But was it a blessing or the beginning of his undoing? Little did he know the woman who warmed his daughter's heart carried secrets of her own secrets that would tear their lives apart just as easily as she had stitched them back together. How could he trust a woman who appeared out of nowhere just when he and Lily needed someone the most? Was fate offering him a second chance or setting a cruel trap? As smiles turned into suspicion and gratitude twisted into betrayal, one impulsive decision would ignite a chain of events that neither of them could stop. Love, lies, sacrifice, and redemption. How much would you risk for the chance to be loved again? Stay with me, because this is not the story you think it is. It's so much more. The evening air in Austin, Texas still carried the lingering warmth of a long spring day. From the grand entrance of the Sierra View Grand Hotel, Andrew Bennett stood momentarily frozen, watching a scene he hadn't seen in years. His daughter Lily, laughing and opening her mouth eagerly as a young waitress spoon-fed her mashed potatoes, smiling like they shared a secret only they knew. 4-year-old Lily had refused food from every nanny, every therapist, every professional Andrew had hired since Emily, his beloved wife, passed away 2 years ago. He had tried everything, or so he thought. Yet here she was now giggling, her cheeks flushed with joy under the gentle guidance of a complete stranger. "Daddy, it's yummy," Lily exclaimed, her little voice full of life. Across the room, Amanda, the latest in a long line of nannies, was hurriedly gathering her things. "Mr. Bennett, I'm sorry, but I can't do this anymore. It's too much." Andrew didn't even look at her. "Your severance will be processed by tomorrow," he muttered, eyes locked on the waitress and his daughter. Who was this girl, and why did Lily, who trusted no one, cling to her like she'd known her forever? "Who's she?" Andrew asked quietly as Mark Sullivan, his hotel's general manager, approached new waitress, Claire Thompson. "Started a month ago." "Is there a problem?" Andrew shook his head slowly. "No. In fact, she just solved one." Mark frowned disapprovingly. "She's assigned to tables 7 through 12, not to babysit. I'll speak to her immediately." "Don't." Andrew's voice was low but firm. "I'll handle it." As he approached Claire and Lily, a memory stabbed through him. Emily's laughter, the way she had once fed Lily, at the same spot 2 years ago. Could something this small really break the heavy chains he'd been dragging for so long? "Miss Claire, is it?" Andrew asked, his voice sharper than he intended. Claire jumped slightly, immediately recognizing the hotel's owner. "Mr. Bennett, I'm so sorry if I overstepped. How did you get her to eat?" "For a heartbeat." Claire hesitated, then smiled warmly, brushing a lock of Lily's hair behind her ear. "I told her about warrior princesses. They need strength for their adventures. Right, Lily? Like Moana." Lily chirped proudly. Andrew watched his daughter, feeling a bittersweet pang he hadn't felt in years. This young woman had done in minutes what he, with all his wealth and power, had failed to do for months. But why Claire? Why now? Could it be a coincidence? Or was fate playing its hand? "I should get back to work," Claire said, breaking the moment. Before Andrew could respond, Mark reappeared, stiff as ever. "Miss Thompson, I need a word." "Now." Claire's smile faltered. She gave Lily's tiny hand a squeeze before following Mark toward the kitchen. Andrew watched Lily's face fall the moment Claire left. "I want Claire to feed me." "Not you, Daddy," Lily whined, pushing her plate away later that evening as Andrew reviewed contracts in his presidential suite. The phone buzzed. "Sir," said the receptionist, "a young woman named Claire Thompson is downstairs. She insists on saying goodbye to your daughter." A sinking feeling pulled at him. "Goodbye?" "Send her up," Andrew said without thinking. Moments later, Claire entered, nervous and fidgeting. Lily, seeing her, ran into her arms without hesitation. "I just came to say goodbye," Princess Claire said softly. Andrew stiffened. "Goodbye?" Why? Claire swallowed hard. "Mr. Sullivan terminated my contract. I wasn't fulfilling my duties for helping my daughter." Andrew's voice was dangerously low. "It's the rules, Mr. Bennett. I wasn't supposed to leave my station." Claire tried to keep her voice steady, but Lily clung to her leg, refusing to let go. A flood of frustration and helplessness surged through Andrew. Weeks of interviews, countless failed nannies, and now the one person Lily connected with was being cast aside. "Do you have any childcare experience?" he asked suddenly. Claire blinked as surprised. "I raised my 3 younger siblings from when I was 12. My mother worked double shifts to support us." Andrew nodded slowly. Logic told him to be cautious. His heart, starved of connection, shouted otherwise. "I'll double your salary," he said. "Become Lily's nanny." Temporarily, Claire's eyes widened. "Mr. Bennett, I don't have certifications." "You have something better," he interrupted, gesturing toward Lily, who was practically glued to her side. "You have her trust." Claire hesitated, biting her lip. Andrew noticed then the slight tremble in her hands, the sadness flickering behind her bright eyes. "My mother's very ill," Claire confessed finally. "She needs expensive treatments, and I've been trying to save up for her insurance." "We'll put you on the hotel's full medical plan," Andrew added, "and I'll authorize an advance for urgent needs." Tears welled in Claire's eyes, though she quickly blinked them away. "I accept, but just temporarily," she said, extending her hand. As their hands met, neither realized how this impulsive deal would change their lives forever. But here's a question to think about. Why would a billionaire trust a stranger so quickly? Was it desperation or something much deeper stirring inside him? And another to ponder. If you were in Claire's shoes, offered an escape from hardship but tied to powerful emotions, would you have accepted Andrew's offer? I'm so sorry to interrupt the story here. I hope you're enjoying it so far. Could you let me know? What country are you watching from? If you're loving the story, please give it a heart and like this video. It means so much and helps me bring you even more emotional journeys. I'm ready when you are. The days that followed moved in a rhythm Andrew hadn't felt in years. Morning pancakes, clumsy arts and crafts, pillow forts that collapsed mid-laughter. Claire had not only brought Lily back to life, she had somehow revived the whole house. But perfection, as always, was a fragile thing, and it never lasts forever, does it? One evening as the sun dipped behind the hills of Austin, Andrew lingered at the door, watching Claire braid Lily's hair for bedtime. Their soft giggles echoed down the hallway like music. He knew deep down he was falling fast and hard, but could a man like him afford to let his guard down again? Meanwhile, in the quiet corners of the Sierra View Grand Hotel, another game was unfolding. Mark Sullivan, Andrew's oldest friend and right-hand man, watched everything from the shadows, and he didn't like what he saw. At a bar meeting with a trusted contact, Mark leaned in. "Find out everything about Claire Thompson family. Debts, secrets, I want it all." Why would Mark, a man who owed Andrew his career, go this far? Was it loyalty or jealousy wrapped in concern? The answer, when it came, would shake everything to the core. A week later, on a Friday evening, heavy with summer heat, Mark walked into Andrew's office, a file thick with papers tucked under his arm. "You need to see this," he said without preamble. Andrew set down his glass of whiskey, raising an eyebrow. "What is it now?" Mark tossed the file onto the desk. "She's drowning in medical bills, her mother's hospital treatments. They're astronomical, way beyond what a waitress could afford." Andrew flipped through the documents, a cold knot forming in his stomach. "What are you suggesting?" His voice was dangerously even. Mark shrugged, casual but loaded. "She's desperate. Desperation makes people do things, like getting close to the richest man in town and his vulnerable daughter. Could it be true? Was Claire playing him from the start? Yet when Andrew thought of her, of how she read fairy tales to Lily, with a voice so full of wonder, or how she laughed when he clumsily helped bake cookies, none of it felt false. Still, once doubt sneaks in, can it ever really be silenced? Later that night, Andrew found Claire on the terrace, folding laundry under the soft porch lights. "Claire," he said, his voice rougher than intended. She turned, startled by the tension radiating from him. "Yes, I want to know something, and I need the truth." Claire hesitated. What was it about the way he said truth that made her heart pound with dread? "If I hadn't offered you the nanny job, would you have stayed here anyway?" With Lily, for a moment, the only sound was the crickets singing to the moon. Claire swallowed hard. "My mother needs treatments, expensive ones I would have needed to leave eventually, unless I found something stable. So you stayed for security." His words sliced sharper than he intended. No, Claire's voice cracked. I stayed because Lily trusted me, because for the first time in a long time, I felt like I belonged somewhere. She paused, searching his face. Does that mean nothing to you? Andrew looked at her, a war raging inside him. Could she be lying, or was he pushing away the one good thing left in his life? Again. Before either could say another word, the hotel's gala announcement echoed through the building. The biggest event of the year was coming, a night where the elite gathered, where secrets could be exposed under glittering chandeliers. Would this gala be their undoing or their salvation? The following days passed with an unbearable tension. Claire noticed how Andrew grew colder, more distant, though he never spoke about it. Lily, innocent as ever, sensed something too clinging, tighter to Claire whenever Andrew left the room. On the night of the gala, Andrew approached Claire in the nursery. "You'll come with us tonight as my guest," he said flatly. Claire's heart twisted as his guest, or as proof, dressed in a simple, borrowed black dress. Claire entered the ballroom that evening, feeling every pair of eyes on her. Andrew kept her close, introducing her as an important part of Lily's life. But as the music played and laughter swirled, a dark figure approached from the crowd. Mark Sullivan, holding a champagne flute, smiled like a cat cornering a bird. "Enjoying the fairy tale, Claire?" he asked in a whisper only she could hear. "Remember, midnight always comes." What was he planning? And why did the way he smiled make her blood run cold? I'm truly sorry to pause the story here. I hope you're still with me and feeling every moment unfold. Before we continue, I have two questions for you. If you were Andrew, would you trust Claire, or would you listen to Mark's warnings? Why do you believe people can hide their true intentions behind genuine smiles? Have you ever been deceived that way? Also, could you share with me what country you're watching from? I'm always so curious to know where our beautiful community is growing. And if you're enjoying this story, please don't forget to leave a heart and like the video. It helps so much to keep bringing more emotional journeys your way. Let's dive even deeper. The night of the gala shimmered with the kind of false magic only the wealthy knew how to fake diamonds. Glittered glasses clinked, and smiles hid more secrets than anyone dared to confess. Claire stood beside Andrew, feeling like a fragile flower in a field of polished steel. Everyone seemed to look right through her except for one pair of eyes burning with calculation. Mark Sullivan. As the gala reached its peak, Mark approached Andrew, a folder clutched in his hand. "I think you should see this," he said, his voice low, urgent. Andrew hesitated. Would you open a door if you weren't sure what kind of monster waited behind it? He took the folder. Inside, copies of financial records, medical bills, and worst of all, a transfer receipt made out to Claire's name, funded by Mark himself. "You see," Mark murmured, "it was never about Lily. It was about the money." Andrew's face darkened. Could it be true? Was he just another stepping stone for a desperate girl pretending to love his daughter, without waiting for Claire's side of the story? Rage clouding his heart, Andrew found her near the terrace. "Was this your plan all along?" he demanded, waving the papers in her face. Claire's heart dropped. "I can explain." "Explain what?" Andrew cut her off, voice cold as stone. "That you sold our trust for a check." Tears welled in Claire's eyes, but she stood her ground. "My mother needed surgery. I didn't take money from you. I made a deal with him." She pointed toward Mark, her hand trembling. "Because I was desperate, not for riches, for her life." For a heartbeat, Andrew said nothing. Only the cold Austin night answered back. If you were standing in Andrew's shoes, would your heart believe, or would your fear decide for you? "I want you gone by morning," Andrew said finally, his voice breaking. And just like that, the fragile family Claire had built with Lily collapsed into dust. The next morning, before the sun even touched the horizon, Claire left. She wrote a letter for Lily, a simple goodbye filled with hand-drawn stars and hearts, promising she would always love her little princess warrior. But how do you explain to a child that sometimes love isn't enough to stay? Time passed, weeks, then months. Andrew buried himself back into work. The hotel grew bigger. His fortune grew larger, and Lily grew quieter. No nanny could replace Claire. No toys could fill the gaping hole she left behind. One rainy afternoon, as Andrew walked the endless hallways of the hotel, he found himself drawn to Lily's room, there taped to the wall, was her old drawing, three figures under a bright, messy sun. Daddy, Lily, and Claire. Had he destroyed the only real chance at happiness they had? That night, guilt gnawed at him until he could no longer stay silent. He needed answers. On a trip to St. Vincent's Medical Center for a donation ceremony, Andrew overheard an elderly woman laughing softly with a nurse. "Without Claire, I wouldn't be alive today. She gave up everything for me." He turned, there sat Helen Thompson, Claire's mother. In an instant, everything Mark had said, everything Andrew had feared crumbled. Claire had never used him. She had sacrificed herself for love. Would you have had the strength Claire showed knowing you might lose everything for the ones you love? Driven by a hope he hadn't felt in months, Andrew found Claire working at a small community cafe in Portland. Not in a luxury hotel, not chasing riches, but teaching kids from broken homes how to bake bread and believe in themselves again. He watched her from the doorway, stronger, softer, more radiant than ever. "Lily and I miss you," he said simply when she finally turned and saw him. Claire froze, so much pain between them, so many words unsaid. "Why are you here, Andrew?" "Because I finally realized money can build an empire, but it can't build a home." He stepped closer, voice trembling. "And home, Claire, is wherever you are." Her defenses faltered. "But I have nothing to offer you anymore," she whispered. "You have everything," he replied. "You have heart and love, and you gave my daughter a reason to laugh again." Tears spilled freely, now hers and his. That night, under the soft Oregon rain, Andrew promised Claire that their story wasn't over. Not if she still wanted to believe in second chances. Hand in hand, they returned to Austin with a dream bigger than both of them. Together, they turned part of the Sierra View Grand Hotel into a community center, offering shelter, education, and hope to struggling families, not just as charity, but as a promise that love, no matter how broken or battered, could heal Claire. And Andrew didn't marry in a grand wedding. They didn't pose for magazine covers. They simply built a family, one laugh, one scar, one triumph at a time. And as for Lily, she never stopped calling Claire Mom, because sometimes the real fairy tales aren't the ones written with crowns and castles, but with broken hearts that dared to hope again. I'm truly sorry for stopping here, but I hope this story touched you as much as it touched me while writing it. Before you leave, I have two questions for you. Do you believe that everyone deserves a second chance, even after betrayal and mistakes? Why or why not? If you had been Claire, would you have fought to rebuild the love or walked away forever? Also, what do you think about this story overall? If you loved it, comment number 3. If you feel it was just okay, comment number 2. If you think it could have been better, comment number 1. I truly value your feedback. And one more thing, please tell me what country you're watching from. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to drop a heart, and share this video to help spread these emotional stories even further. Are you ready for the next story? Let's keep this beautiful journey going together.